So I tweeted this yesterday. I thought it would be fairly innocuous and generally agreed with because it's something I've seen discussed before. Heck, even the devs trialed removing it for a weekend a couple of years ago. As it turns out, people were fuming.
The internet is a shithole full of cretins and whiners.
They're whiny babies who think they should always win. Just a loud, obnoxious minority of idiots.
If they suck, they complain about anything they
Content
can.
creators for this game are unskilled little criminals.
Shit TTV crying about it.
Some of the worst takes I've ever heard come from Pebsie.
So I wanted to hop on a video and explain my reasoning for wanting the effect removed outside of the 240 or however many characters Twitter allows these days. This is a discussion. In other words, if you disagree with me, explain why. Don't just call me a moron, or if you agree with me and see someone else hurling crap, don't just call them a moron either. People in this community get so ridiculously inflamed over extremely inconsequential things, and the point of sharing these opinions is to have a friendly back and forth. One day, saying that won't be necessary, but that day is not today. So, anyway, Bloodlust. Bloodlust is an effect that gives killers a speed boost the longer they chase a survivor without performing certain actions. You'll gain a plus 5% or 0.2 meters per second boost after 15 seconds, a 10% or 0.4 meters per second boost after 25 seconds, and a 15% or 0.6 meters per second boost after 35 seconds. Now, it's worth noting that survivors move at 4 meters per second by default, and that most killers move at 4.4 meters per second to 4.6 meters per second by default. This means that a generic M1 killer who moves at 4.6 meters per second will gain a speed boost up to as high as 5.2 meters per second, a whole 1.2 meters per second faster than a survivor running in a straight line. You lose Bloodlust when hitting a survivor or breaking a pallet. Some killer powers also cause Bloodlust to deactivate. So let me talk a little bit about why I don't like it before I suggest some remedies. First off, it's important to point out that this is what's known as a catch-up mechanic, like a trivia quiz that offers double points for the final round. This allows players who have been performing poorly a chance to regain an advantage. There's nothing wrong with that in and of itself, but it admits a flaw in DBD's design. You wouldn't expect them to change football matches to say, hey, yeah, last 10 minutes is double points, added time is triple points. If a team is getting hammered, then they deserve to lose. That's obviously because most sports aren't giving two teams completely different objectives, and so balance isn't really a question that needs to be asked. Why raise a point and then immediately refute it? Because I think it's all relevant to this discussion. If DBD is ever to be considered balance between roles, then Bloodlust naturally has to be removed. If it isn't, then balance has never been achieved. It's a band-aid fix for infinites. That's why it was added, and that's why it remains. Because any catch-up mechanic is admitting that a player might fall behind not because of their own failings, but because of an unfair advantage to the other team given by external factors outside of the control of the player being given the catch-up. But similarly, while that catch-up mechanic remains, you can't really balance the other side to remove the discrepancy. For example, the addition of survivor status icons showing what survivors were doing to all other survivors is what allowed behavior to, say, increase gen time to 90 seconds. Because by bringing pugs up to the level of swift's, you're able to make drastic balance changes by fixing an imbalance elsewhere in the game. Now, I want to discuss why I don't like it from a user experience perspective as well. In a 1v1 situation, rewarding one player is the same as punishing another player. In other words, if Bloodlust rewards killers for being bad at chases, it also punishes survivors for being good at chases. There's a whole argument that managing and countering Bloodlust is part of being good at chases, but I'll always fall back on DBD being about a killer's toolkit pitted against a survivor's toolkit. Killer is a power role. They move faster. They can harm the survivor. The survivor is therefore given a better field of view and windows and pallets to overcome that power imbalance. This is the core of DBD and what makes it fun. Any secondary ability like a perk or killer power or indeed Bloodlust should play into part of this gameplay loop only. If you become at a disadvantage as a result of anything other than failing to utilize these mechanics, then I think that's bad design. And I don't think that a passive speed buff can be considered part of the killer's move faster mechanic because they haven't done anything to earn that benefit. You should reward skillful play and punish unskillful play. A great comparison here is to Call of Duty's kill streaks. When you do well, you get rewarded by being able to do better. It's incredibly fun and satisfying. Instead, in DBD, when you do well, you're punished. There's a reason why COD's death streaks are removed after only 2 titles. So, in short, my view is that 1, catch-up mechanics admit a balance issue and that balance issue should be fixed rather than band-aided. 2, DBD's core is about using pallets and windows to overcome a power imbalance. Advantages must be earned through skillful play by utilizing those mechanics effectively. And 3, skillful play should be rewarded, not punished. So where do we go from here? Well, it's pretty simple. Killers, stop being bad at the game. That's it. Just get good. Not really. DBD is a hugely unbalanced game. Here's my genuine suggestion. How about some sort of system that matches players based on ability, for example? Rather than just focusing on kills and escapes, you can instead work up some sort of system that takes into account objective time, altruism, like maybe like how good you are at chasing and like how good you are at like evading the killer. And then you combine those 4 aspects of gameplay and give players like a score that represents their ability and then pit them up only against killers and with other survivors who match their ability. Like at the end of the month, you could like reset this as well so that everyone's thrown back in the mix and you have a chance to climb up the leaderboards again. I know a system like that would require a lot of work to put in place, but I genuinely think it would be better than what we have now. Listen, this is a discussion. I've raised my points. I have no real alternative. Give survivors a clear and mechanical way of breaking Bloodlust, or maybe let us know what stage of Bloodlust the killer is in so we can counter it easier. A few people on Twitter are saying just remove tiers 2 and 3. Or increase killer walking speed by default when in chases. I don't know. I'm not a game designer these days. I just have a YouTube channel and a few thoughts to share. So, yeah, that's it. That's my views. A big shout out to my patrons. Channel Manager, Chipstar878, Jinx Likes Magic, Lilith Alucard, Eric, Evan Craws, and Jill. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.